Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Taurus July 2020 horoscope forecast, part 2 of 2. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is, well, Mars will be in Aries, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, Taurus, you might be experiencing some contentious acrimonious situations in private. It could be with an aunt or an uncle. Sometimes they might even be very volatile situations with people in your private life, given that we're talking about Mars in its dignity in Aries. And Aries, of course, is the volatile, violent sign of the zodiac. And at this time, you may also be experiencing depleted or dissipated energy and vitality. Libido might be diminished a little bit, since we're talking about Mars, the planet of sex, and the 12th house of restrictions and limitations. This could also be on a positive note, though. It could manifest in taking a lot of aggressive, really assertive action in helping those less fortunate than yourself, such as the impoverished, the homeless, the hungry. It could be dealing with hidden adversaries as well. And keep in mind, too, that this is also, in some cases, it could be about spiritual battles as well. You're talking about the 12th house of spirituality, and Mars is the planet of combat. This could be at a time, too, where you have to remember that impulsive actions can be one's self-undoing, as well as that's another way this can manifest and pan out. Next thing up, well, Jupiter will still be in Capricorn, so the 9th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So, well, for you, Taurus, at this time, it could be very fortuitous or very consistent publishing or doing something, publishing something Capricorn related. It could be something connected with dentistry or accounting, or something associated with government, politics, even information technology. Could also be very beneficial for doing something Capricorn related that's tied in with your higher education. It could be something, again, with dentistry, accounting, information technology, something with anything that, it could be learning architecture, anything that could be that could be related with the zodiac sign Capricorn. So, but at the same time, remember, as I've stated in previous videos, Jupiter can be rather paradoxical. It could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. Now, in some cases, this can enlarge and expand responsibilities to in-laws, to grandchildren. It could be foreigners, perhaps to your higher education, your religious congregation, to publishing matters. It could also manifest in prosperity, doing something. It could be with some kind of career-related matter that might be tied in with the 9th house. Capricorn is the sign of career, and it could be something 9th house related, such as publishing, or something with long-distance traveling, working in theology, religion. It might be a career. You might be involved with an in-law or grandchild in some cases. So anyway, and also, too, it could be that philosopher. It could be religious people, philosophers, people in higher education might be more tied into your philosophy at this time, more so than usual. And it could also expand rather, orthodox or conventional religious type belief at this time for you, Taurus. So anyway, next thing up, well, Saturn will be in Capricorn for almost the entire month, so the 9th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, this could manifest in a number of ways, but one way this could pan out, you might be dealing with, in some cases, a debilitated or sickly in-law or grandchild. It could be something Capricorn related, such as something with the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings, and maybe making you feel somewhat despondent, melancholy. Saturn can also be about our fears. It could be about the fear or some apprehension in foreign travel at this time, or maybe getting involved in, maybe there's publishing issues, or I mean, as I stated before, traveling abroad, doing some expanding horizons at this time for you, Taurus. Of all the zodiac signs, might have the most difficulty in this and doing so anyway. But it could also be about gaining structure and discipline in religious matters, higher education, publishing. It could be also maybe in matters I mean, you're talking about the ninth house and astrology matters with in-laws, matters with grandchildren, and so the thing about this too is it could be manifesting older people, figuring more, and authority figures figuring more prominently in your philosophy at this time, in your religion, and ninth house matters in general at this time. And the thing about, anyway, next thing I want to get at. Well, Uranus will be in Taurus still, so the first house will be emphasized and highlighted. So, well, at this time for you, Taurus, this could be a time where you might be desiring more freedom and independence on a first impression, especially. I mean, this could be a time too also that be careful. There might be greater propensity for electric shock because you're talking about the first house of the physical body, especially if this is actually in the first house in one's natal chart. But it could still have that impact if it's hitting your sun, because the sun, if it's the sun is also tied in with the physical body, though the Ascendant dominates, it's more dominant in terms of the physical appearance and the physical body. But it could also be about Uranus, like new beginnings that you may value. It could be doing something, starting something new with astrology, astronomy, aerospace, even rocket science in some cases, computers, electronics, innovation, humanitarian endeavors. You might change your appearance and be a little bit more unorthodox in terms of how you appear to others. And also, too, you might be dealing with more unpredictable behavior from people that you may have known from your early childhood. It could be a grandmother in some cases, people that were instrumental in your new beginnings or your outlook. And also, too, in some cases, it could be also about how Taurus friendships or even Taurus astrologers in some isolated cases might figure more prominently in your outlook, your new beginnings, maybe making a first impression on others, especially say if you're trying to apply for a new job or a new position. This could also be physical issues in some cases, like having maybe maybe some kind of unexpected issue with the throat or the neck, or some issues with nerves in that area if possible, or some problems with the shins or the ankles as well at this time. But anyway, and it could also be about doing some, really about, again, going back to being, more freedom-oriented and desiring more independence, and maybe breaking out from just, some monotonous situation that you may have been involved in. So anyway, next thing up. Well, Neptune will be in Pisces still, so the 11th house is what we emphasized and highlighted. Now, this is something that can manifest in a number of ways. Some cases this could be about you, Taurus, you may have to guard against fallacious prophets or mediums that might be trying to impact your future or guiding you to some goal or aspiration that might not be in your best interest. Neptune can also be about isolation. It might be a time where you feel more inclined to isolate yourself from your friends, your acquaintances, from group-related matters. But on a positive note, it could also manifest in some kind of Neptune goal or aspiration, doing something like with, for example, like with metaphysical, which includes astrology, photography, chemistry, poetry, dancing, anesthesiology, something connected with illusions, such as working like as aspiring to be a magician. It could also be about the dissipation, dissolving of friends and acquaintances at this time for you. And also, and even it could be a time too where you might be dealing with more deceptive and duplicitous activity in connection with stepchildren, if applicable, friends, acquaintances, people that you may know at groups, clubs, or organizations at this time. And also you might be dealing with a more nebulous or unclear future at this time, Taurus. I am having this transit right now in my intercepted 11th house in my chart, and I'm having in my future at this time, I would say definitely feels nebulous, to say the absolute least. And the thing too is, I mean, a lot of this could be, you know, predicating dependent on aspects to the points in your chart. I mean, especially if it's making a lot of adverse aspects. This is also, say, making an adverse aspect to your natal Uranus, or it could indicate or that it could reaffirm or reinforce your future maybe being a little bit more unclear, nebulous than it had been previously. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, well, last but not least, Pluto will be in Capricorn still, so the 9th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Well, this could be, in some cases, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but you know I'm going to anyway. This could be about a death, actual literal death of an in-law or grandchild, or someone that may have been prominent. You may have known at a college, university, or a religion or religious congregation. You might feel it might be more power in global communications at this time for you, Taurus. At this time as well, maybe you become interested in taking something Pluto related as far as furthering your education goes. It could be something connected with astrology, occult, supernatural, or something with the death profession, such as learning to become a mortician, funeral director, coroner, or maybe even a surgeon in some cases, doing something with insurance. It could also be about some cases you might be at this time as well. This could also be about Pluto-related publishing matters. It might be something where you maybe get involved with some occult or astrological publishing, Taurus, or something associated with transformation. It could be something connected maybe with matters with death in some cases, or crisis-related issues. Now, it could also be a time where you might be transforming your philosophy or your religion at this time as well. And just be careful this time, Taurus, because remember that we've got this coronavirus situation going on, and Pluto can be associated with viruses. The 9th house is foreign travel, so just be careful if restrictions are banned, if these stipulations and restrictions are taken away, and you are permitted to go to travel abroad. Take extra precautions at this time, as there could be greater propensity for getting a virus through foreign travel. Pluto can be associated with viruses. 9th house, of course, is associated with traveling abroad. So anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard, stay well.